It's a mental checklist many of us go through when we leave the house. What, if anything, did we leave on? The iron, the coffee maker, the oven? You want to make sure those are turned off. But many Americans will knowingly leave one particular appliance running, thinking it's perfectly safe. They couldn't be more wrong. Here's Chief Consumer Correspondent Lee Thompson with a Dateline Consumer Alert.
For more than 20 years, New Hampshire Deputy Chief Stephen Goldsmith has been fighting all sorts of fires.
Yeah, you gonna go up on top of the hill?
10-4.
But there is one fire, a house fire more than 3 years ago, that he remembers most.
The road was blocked off. There's a lot of firefighters, a lot of trucks, still a lot of smoke billowing from the eaves and the structure of the house.
That house was his own. In less than an hour, it was gutted by fire. At the time, he knew his wife and children were safe, but he sensed the family had lost just about everything else.
We had 3 dogs. I was hoping that the 3 dogs had gotten out, but the 3 dogs did not get out.
And the fire chief was in for another shock when investigators determined the fire's source, the clothes dryer. According to national estimates, 14,500 dryers catch fire every year, killing on average 10 people. 2 years ago, a dryer fire at an Alabama daycare center claimed several children. And as we'll show you in just a minute, dryer fires start easier and spread faster than you might think.
Most people leave their home without even giving a thought that the dryer's on. My wife knew the dryer was on.
In Goldsmith's fire, investigators assumed a short in a wire had caused the spark. The bigger question was what fueled the fire. Investigators finally came to the conclusion it was something so tiny, even they had overlooked it.
Lint, the little bit of lint that accumulates is very combustible. It's dry, it's easily ignitable, and can spread very quickly.
In fact, fire officials believe lint is a leading reason why dryer fires become so destructive. They say if lint gets into the machine's heating element, it can be the very thing that sparks and fuels a fire. How so? Dateline decided to find out. We start at this well-respected laboratory in Portland, New York. There, with the help of laboratory engineers, we drill holes in this dryer and slip tiny cameras inside. Next, the lab's engineers blow lint into the dryer's heater. Fire officials and engineers tell us lint allowed to build up behind a dryer for years or even months can be blown into a dryer's vents and then its heater. So the engineers let the lint fly. Then we put the doors back on and turn on the machine. In 20 seconds, we see a piece of burning lint flash through the drum, but it goes out. Nothing catches fire. But just 10 seconds later, another scrap of lint burns inside the heating element. It ignites more lint. Within seconds, the back of the dryer is on fire, blowing out our cameras and the dryer's parts. Very soon, flames are spreading out the back of the machine. Smoke is filling the room. Luckily, this is a laboratory, and there's little for the fire to latch onto. So within 2 minutes, the fire burns itself out. The dryer, however, is destroyed. Imagine what could have happened if this fire had started in your home. We showed our demonstration to Fire Marshal Bliss.
That small amount of flame that had escaped from the back of the dryer would have ignited anything nearby. So you very definitely would have had a serious fire in that situation in the average home.
And chances are, says Bliss, one of the first things the burning lint will ignite is this, plastic hosing, often used when installing dryers. It's highly flammable.
Plastic will melt very quickly. Plastic will ignite very quickly. And it's just one more fuel source to add to the fire.
He says aluminum hosing is much safer. Even the industry agrees. We went back to the lab to see. We put an open flame to 2 kinds of aluminum hosings, corrugated and flat. After more than a minute, neither one catches fire. But the plastic hosing is in flames in just 12 seconds. For Bliss, the solution is clear. Get rid of plastic hosing and lint, the cause of so much destruction. Some people think even more should be done. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is so concerned about lint fires, its staff issued a report that said devices should be added to machines that shut down the dryer when the airflow is obstructed. Joe McGuire is with the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. He says most dryers are already designed to shut off if the machine gets too hot. Besides, he says, lint itself really can't fuel a fire. He questions whether more safety features are even needed.
What you want to make sure you don't do is mandate some sort of technology fix that doesn't really get at a primary cause for safety, yet does add cost to the consumer.
McGuire suggests consumers should take more responsibility, making sure to keep lint away from dryer vents. The Goldsmiths sure do. They say they now take every precaution to keep their new home safe and lint-free. Though they admit that may be easier said than done. In fact, when we asked Steve Goldsmith to pull his dryer out, there it was, lint.
That's more than enough. That little bit of lint there is more than enough to fuel a fire.
Fire officials say you really need to make every effort to remove lint. Vacuum behind the machine whenever you're house cleaning. Don't let lint pile up on the screen like this. Clean it after each load. And pay attention to when your dryer is on. Another hard lesson the Goldsmiths learned.
My wife won't leave the house now with anything running.
Bottom line, says Fire Marshal Bliss, don't take anything for granted.
Most people don't think of the dryer as a dangerous appliance. It's not something you think about when it comes to fire. But it will spread very quickly. It'll spread smoke throughout the house, which will prevent people from getting out. And get a very serious fire very quickly.
To find out if your dryer is safe, visit our website at dateline.msnbc.com.